Me is how much do I want to throw the WhatsApp people under the bus publicly? How much should I?
Yeah,
How
you're
much do I
live.
want to
You're
throw the
live. You're
WhatsApp
live.
people under the bus publicly?
Okay. Well, I guess you could get an answer from all of them. So you just adjust your mic, get it a little closer.
Are we on
You know,
now?
yeah.
Oh, is this is this a live stream?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh shit!
See, that's why. See
Oh,
where I
shit.
kept saying yeah, da. There was a
Are we live now?
yeah.
Oh, great!
Yeah. So the stream pretty much.
You gotta have like a light that says green light.
I was trying. I was like, yeah. So it's pretty much the opening of this video is how much do I want to throw WhatsApp people under the bus?
Oh man,
That's quality. All right, let me know when you're
man.
recording, Peter.
Okay. Recording. Here. Let me just make sure.
This is pre-recorded. No, Nathan, this is not pre-recorded. You just had your confirmation that this is not
Oh
pre-recorded.
my god! Oh no.
And recording. Here, can you guys give me a
So wait. Okay, some of our stuff. So you're recording a video and we're doing this as a stream.
Well, yeah. Well,
Okay.
I was using
I gotta know.
because the live stream. So
Yeah.
it's gonna go to your channel with the nice cameras, and
Okay.
the stream
I
is done
get
with
it.
the
Lewis, can you
Sony
give me
Schmo
a
camera.
clap?
Absolutely.
Aaron, can you give me a clap? Okay, we're all set.
All right. So
Oh, wait, let me get my Coke Zero. There we go.
3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, how's it going? So something I've talked about on my channel for a long time is that it is upon us, it's our responsibility to try and clean up our small corner of the world. And I remember in 2012, there was this neighboring repair shop owner that offered me $80,000 to close my store right after it opened. And when I declined, he scoffed with this, you're never going to change the world through computer repair, with an eye roll. And 10 years later, here we are. So whether you're a janitor, a laptop repair technician, or a billionaire, it's incumbent on us to clean up our small corner of the world, and that's going to be the topic of today's video. So before we can even get into what's causing the problems we have right now, can you take a minute to sort of define the problems that you believe we have right now?
So the problems with the tech oligopoly?
Yeah, in general. Before we even get in, because part of this video is going to be like what people can and should be doing to fix it, but let's just, for people who are new, what are the problems?
Yeah. So I mean, your channel is obviously about one of the most important one of the earliest ones is right to repair. We can't fix our things. They do things to make our computers impossible to repair. There's planned obsolescence. There's DRM and things that stop you from, kind of having the freedom you need to do things efficiently, and it just kind of makes things suckier. So that's one of the problems that we have. As we've seen the last few years, censorship of political viewpoints has become a huge problem too. So because we've created these social media silos where one company has control over the way we talk to each other and the way we communicate with each other, and it's a very kind of unprecedented situation we have now where well, maybe it's not unprecedented, but it seems unprecedented compared to the way things were in the early internet.
Yeah, every one of the issues you mentioned is kind of under the umbrella of control. It's that a small number of companies have control over what you do with your device, how you speak, who you speak to, what you listen to, whether or not they're listening to and watching you, whether you work on your device or anything like that. So what role do engineers that work at these large companies have to play in making this problem worse?
I mean, all these problems can be fixed with software. I mean, the hardware problems, obviously there's kind of more issues there. But in terms of kind of our software sucking, obviously we can make software that's better. Everything about, whatever you don't like about the way your software works, if it's using too much battery, or if it's, censoring your speech, or if it's just buggy, that can be fixed with software. The problem is we don't have a competitive landscape anymore where, we have multiple entities trying to create better software. But yeah, engineers can fix a lot of these problems just by writing better software.
I'm going to cut in just for a second.
Yeah.
People are noting that this is just a tiny bit.
Don't feed the trolls, Peter. Don't
No,
do it.
It is a little bit.
I know, but
wonky.
they'll find something else. Don't fucking feed them. Don't do it. They're gonna say the fucking Amiga is the wrong way. There's a little bit of tape on the other side of the box. Don't do
And
it.
now they're going to start
I
trolling
purposely
10
fucking
times
I
more.
purposely leave something like that just so I can figure out which people have OCD, so I can fucking ban them. Anyway, fuck you people for interrupting it. Screw you for trolling. But okay, so. Now, when you say that these people can fix these problems, like I remember in 2009, I spent 4 days working for this laptop repair company that would tell people that they needed a motherboard repair when the only problem with it was that they had a bad charger. But the customer didn't know any better. So they would hand them back the machine with a new charger and say, since you were such a good customer, we will give you a charger and the charge port, but the charger we'll give you for free. And after realizing that, I quit the same day. So I started my own company, and while I was kind of trying to create this, I was making about 1/3 as much money. And one of the things that you said is that many of the people that are involved in making these problems worse seem to not be willing to quit or leave, and that's one great way to get started on solving the problem. If you're a very talented programmer, stop working at Google and making the problem worse, and be open to taking a pay cut from $200K to $100K to make things better. Can you expound a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I mean, where to start? I mean, basically, like I said, all these problems can be fixed with software. There are kind of the elite coders in the world who can actually solve this. Most of them are just gobbled up by Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook. They make hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in salary. And oftentimes, they're just being kept there so they won't compete with you. And when I say you, I mean they will be kept at Google because Google does not want them out in the wild competing with them, fixing their shit, making it so that Google can't, have as much of a captive audience with some of the things they do. So, yeah, it's kind of a racket in some ways. And a lot of the engineers don't even realize this, that they're being paid to do nothing. I mean, Silicon Valley had a great joke about this. I think it was like in the first episode even, where Hooli had the engineers on the roof who basically their company got bought by Google. Basically, probably Google was taking out a competitor by buying that company, or Hooli was taking out a competitor to buy that company. And then they didn't care what those engineers did once they took them away. They have a non-compete in a contract, right? So they have to stay at Hooli for 4 years. In the real world, this would be Google or Facebook or whatever. You have golden handcuffs, you're stuck at that company, and you're not competing with them. And even after you leave that company, you might not be able to compete with them.
Yeah, Scott Galloway says in his book about the Big Four that that they will often just buy a company, even if they don't plan to do anything with it, just to stop them from being a competitor. And then
right.
More and more companies went from a model of let's make really cool technology and figure out how to be profitable to let's figure out how to get Mark Zuckerberg to give us a bunch of money to stop what we're doing.
Right.
And it really it taints the entire marketplace. And that when it came to let's say a lot of the Bell companies back in the day, there was so much technology that was hidden inside of Bell Labs that wasn't getting out there, because they didn't want it to compete with what they already had.
Right.
I think there's this fallacy that people have, which is, if I stop working at Google or any one of these companies, then I will make less money. But there's a chance if you actually produce an amazing piece of technology or an amazing piece of software that for you to be able to make more. Like when I made that decision to quit Laptop MD in 2009, I was making anywhere from $800 to $1,200 a month. And when I started my own company, I was only making, for the first month, I made like $400 or $500. And if I look back on that now, I'm very, very happy I made the decision I did. Not just morally, because I feel better about the way we treat our customers and we treat them honestly, but also for the fact that I make more now than I ever would have made working there. And even my lowest paid employee makes more than the people that work there. So there is the possibility out there. Now, a cutting criticism that I saw in some of the comments on the video you did on your backstory that I think has to be addressed is that you had your sellout moment, and now you're telling other people not to sell out. Easy for you to say, you evil billionaire. So tell us a little bit about the sale of WhatsApp, because this has a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think people quite understand how this went.
I mean, I was not even involved with the sale of WhatsApp beyond just being like the lone dissenter with less than 2% of the company. My sellout moment would have been, when I was in grad school and I had a little game application for people to play multiplayer games with each other. And Yahoo wanted to make that Yahoo Games. And so that's when I sold it out to Yahoo. I guess, the only thing I can say to that is, yes, I am not in the situation where I will be foregoing anything. I did not ever have to forego anything by making the decision to not sell out. At the same time, I had when I sold out to Yahoo, I was planning on just going back to being a grad student. I wasn't planning on. I was actually just planning on going up there for a month and then getting into work at Yahoo and then come back. I did wind up working for Yahoo. I think Yahoo actually did have a good mission when I joined Yahoo. It was very much the underdog. People were assuming that companies like AOL were going to just control the internet. And we really wanted to prove that kind of the more open model where everybody can publish things and everybody is kind of on a more equal playing field could work. I did wind up drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit too much with the advertising model and things like that. And, for that, I apologize as being a 24-year-old, young man who, you get immersed in a culture like that and you wind up kind of going along with it. I mean, my preference always would have been to have the direct relationship with the consumers. Before I sold out, I really wanted my game application to be used by people who paid a subscription. I thought that would have been the right business model. I wanted to be I always wanted to be a small business success, not any kind of Silicon Valley thing, but just didn't have the capability to do that by myself.
Yeah, one of the things that you said about Yahoo and AOL, like a lot of people don't remember back in the day, when you saw a commercial, they wouldn't even say this.com. They would say AOL keyword this. They were really trying their best to come up with as much of a closed internet as possible.
Right.
To use their instant message, you had to log in to their system, which meant you had to be paying not for their services on top of your internet. Because if you wanted, basic dial-up is $10. Through AOL was
right.
$25. Like
right.
basic Verizon DSL was $30. Through AOL, Verizon DSL became $70 or something.
Right.
They were very much going for a closed model of the internet, and Yahoo was a big challenge with that.
So I guess, and so what I would say to people is, if you're the underdog, if you're trying to disrupt things, if you're at a smaller company where you believe that you are going up against the bullies in the world, by all means, do that. I mean, I really love that our CTO at Yahoo, his license plate was kill AOL. Like, that was awesome. Like, we were the underdog trying to beat AOL.
I can imagine if AOL is trying to come up with a closed internet and they have kill AOL on their license plate, how it may not have felt like selling out when they say, we like your game thing that you have and we want to bring that into our system.
Right.
Help us destroy AOL together. Now, you're not still working at Yahoo now. So
no, I quit in 2004.
Happened?
Yeah, I'm sorry?
What led to you quitting Yahoo?
Oh, I mean, I would like to say it was because, I didn't like the advertising model. But no, it was really just I didn't like losing. Yahoo actually did lose its purpose after AOL was defeated. Yahoo didn't know what it was going to do, so it just became this big money grubbing, system. We hired a media executive to be our CEO, so it wasn't even really treated seriously as a technology company. We were losing. Nobody would be like, I like to win more than like a lot of other, like I do like to win. So, and nobody would, if you're not winning and nobody's listening to you when you're telling them that they're losing, it's better just to leave.
So can you talk about the decision-making process that you made when you just said, screw this, I'm tired of losing, I'm going to quit? Because the theme of this video, when Peter winds up editing this down, is going to be the getting people in Silicon Valley to quit their shitty jobs.
Right,
and
I
decide
mean-
to pursue something else.
Yeah, for me, it was just I realized I wasn't accomplishing anything. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave. I actually tried to, negotiate some kind of deal where I could actually do what I wanted to do, but retain ownership of it, so that so that Yahoo. I mean, I kind of had seen what Yahoo did to the games thing that I was brought on board, and I created and made that very popular, and we had millions of users. Seeing how they just destroyed that and seeing them destroy all these other companies, I told the executives of Yahoo, look, I can go all in on something here at Yahoo. I can still do that, but you need to give me a safety valve in case you destroy the next thing I do. I need to be able to take it out of Yahoo if Yahoo keeps sucking. And they wouldn't give me that, so I quit.
So if you wanted to be able to retain Yahoo Pool if Yahoo went
down. Yeah, or whatever the next thing I wanted to do. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time playing Yahoo Pool in high
Yeah.
school. So why did you object specifically to WhatsApp being sold to Facebook? So you said, again, you were a small shareholder, so
Yes.
you didn't. But can you talk a little bit about what your objection was in that?
Yeah, I felt that WhatsApp had the capability of defeating Facebook. The same way Yahoo defeated AOL, WhatsApp could have defeated Facebook, and Mark Zuckerberg knew this, and he probably was looking at statistics and seeing that more people were uploading photos to WhatsApp than were uploading photos to Facebook and shooting bricks. And then, it turned into, hey, let's have a walk, in the park, let's talk, right? And so they made an agreement to kind of make a huge purchase. People thought it was crazy. Mark Zuckerberg probably thinks it was one of the smartest things he ever did, and I think it's proven itself that Facebook solidified its kind of monopoly in that area by doing that.
So again, it's from the comments that I get, and I get why these show up, because if somebody Googles you, one of the first things that winds up showing up is the WhatsApp sale. There's this perception out there that you happily said, yes, take ownership of this company, I want the money, when in the reality it was, no, I want to keep this, I want to beat Facebook. And
yeah,
no.
I wasn't, they didn't even ask me before they made the deal. So
yeah,
I found out the same day everybody else found out. I sent a quick text to the founder who was still talking to me, Brian Acton, who actually has kind of done a really good job now with Signal. So I want to say good things about Brian. I sent a text to Brian Acton though, just saying like, you could have beaten Facebook. There was much more for me to do as such a small shareholder.
What objections do you have to Facebook's business model in general? Like, what made you say, I want to continue doing what I'm doing rather than be happy that Mark Zuckerberg is giving us money?
I don't like the advertising business model, really. So, and the WhatsApp people didn't either. Like I think they tried to make that a condition on their sale, that the advertising model wouldn't take over. It was more of a visceral kind of reaction of like, look, elite coders in Silicon Valley are among the most luckiest people in the world. They have almost magic powers. Like a lot of people from the outside look at them as like magicians. And you're sitting there colluding with each other when you should, like, you're supposed to be, you're already overpaid. You should be competing with each other, trying to outcompete each other, make better stuff for people, not abuse them.
By abuse them, do you mean using them as a product through advertising, or do you mean buying up the competing projects so that they can never beat you once you get to a certain position?
Say it again. Sorry.
Like, do you? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are you referring? You're referring to them using the user as the product,
right? Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's part of. Look, there's all sorts of things that. In a competitive landscape, you see great, like little things here and there and everywhere get much, much better, and things like software improves, and we all have better experiences using our computers. I think we all see this and we kind of experience it. We might not even know why, but things get better and better and better. And we also notice when things get worse. And if you talk to most people, they don't think software has gotten better in the last 10 years. Silicon Valley stopped competing with each other to improve the software.
Yeah, Scott Galloway was making the case that they just continue to buy a company before it actually has a chance to even try and start competing, and then the entire business landscape becomes we're not even trying to compete. Our goal is to get bought out by Jeff Bezos, get bought out by Mark
Right.
Zuckerberg or somebody else, and that you wind up with less competition and less good stuff.
Right.
Now, when you say they're already, you guys are already overpaid, you should be competing with each other. Are you referring to like that Mark Zuckerberg saying to the code? Are you referring to? Sorry. Are you referring to the programmer saying, you know, I'm already a multimillionaire, but I want to be a billionaire, so instead of producing a better product, I'm going to sell it to Mark?
Yes.
That kind of thing?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I'm referring to, you know, I'm kind of a little bit of I think most coders aren't really capable of not to be too rude, but there's kind of like an upper echelon of programmers who really are the ones doing the really important work. And who are really, really good and capable of doing things. Those are the ones who are absolutely making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And they're, you know, they kind of know what's going on. They can get lazy. I mean, I've gotten lazy myself. But, you know, yeah, I mean, there's some people who are just fine with it, right? They're like, oh, I work for Facebook. I'm happy to be more powerful. I'm elite, you know, I like bullying people and making more money for myself. I think there's a lot of people, though, who do have a conscience and who want to actually make good stuff. And, you know, they realize that that's their purpose kind of in this world as an elite coder is to make great software for people. And, you know, we talked about the ones who are just kind of put on the roof, like in the joke in Silicon Valley. I mean, they'll also just... you know, the kind of the worst is they'll put you on some side project which kind of fools you into thinking that you're doing something, but not really. So, yeah.
Do you think status plays anything into this? Like we were talking the other day about, you know, the idea of a programmer saying, hey, honey, I'm going to go quit Apple to, I don't know, write my own software and take a $200,000 or $300,000 a year pay cut. And that, like, avoiding that conversation and the ensuing argument from somebody who may not really understand why it is you're making that moral decision may keep people working at the Google or Apple
Right.
companies like that.
Yeah, I think that's a huge issue. You know, I think there's certain people who, yeah, especially if you're in Silicon Valley, you know, if you're living in Sunnyvale in $1 million house, there's a lot of people in your life who are going to think that you're a loser because you don't live in Palo Alto with a $5 million house. So, yeah, some people fall into that trap of thinking that they haven't made it because of that. And it's just, you know, I mean, you said earlier about, you know, you can make more money leaving. You might not, right? At the end of the day, these companies are making crazy profits because of their abusive tactics. But it's still like, how, I mean, be honest with yourself about what you're really doing in this world.
Yeah, like I think it depends on what you're doing. Like if you're making $180,000 as an engineer and you may have to take a pay cut to like 90 temporarily to then work your way up doing something else, like that's what I'm talking about. If Mark Zuckerberg comes knocking and says like, here's $20 billion, you're probably not going to beat that. Like 99% of the people that even experts there's a good chance that they're not going to get that.
Yeah, and I don't even know if we're in a situation now where I mean WhatsApp was a very, very, very unique situation. I don't know if we'll ever have those kind of chances again, but certainly there are kind of successful startups. You know, I always encourage any of the startups that I've invested in to stay independent, develop a sustainable business model, never sell out. You know, in the extreme situation of WhatsApp, you know, the founders of WhatsApp could have had as much as I hate this idiom, like they could have had their cake and eaten it. They could have stayed independent and had their mega yacht.
And beat Facebook. And been able to do what Jeff Bezos did, where they're asking for the bridge to be cut down so that they could fit his giant yacht.
Right. And, you know, the truth is, and this was admitted to me by Jan Koum even, you know, if WhatsApp had done that, had beaten Facebook, the only way they could have done it is by undermining Facebook's business model of abusing people with advertising and data mining and things. When that happens, well, the combined value of WhatsApp in terms of the way Wall Street will value things, well, WhatsApp/Facebook working together, colluding, is worth, I don't know how much now, 300 billion, 400 billion now. WhatsApp and Facebook competing fiercely against each other is worth 20 billion, 30 billion, just because they're not colluding to take all that value away from the users.
That's insane.
Yeah.
How do you think Mark Zuckerberg sees his users? Like, do you think that he cares about them and wants them to have a great experience, or do you think that they're just toilet paper?
I mean, I think what happens to a lot of these, I've never spoken to Mark Zuckerberg, but what I've kind of have seen happen is there is kind of a contempt for users that a lot of these people develop over time. One, they are interacting. The users that they do interact with and they see are like the people complaining the most about things and like doing the craziest customers are the ones that you wind up dealing with the most. I think Mark Zuckerberg probably just sees it as in a very elitist mindset of like, okay, we know what's going on. We're the elites. We're the elite coders. We got our elite council who's like, the board of Facebook. Any kind of thing that I might, or you and I might perceive as abuse, they don't really think it matters much. They just think, oh, these are just people, like we will guide them in the right ways. If especially when you look at how people are treating things like misinformation these days, it is very much like, how do we propagandize to people to get them to do the right thing? In their minds, what they think is the right thing.
Yeah, what they think is the right thing.
Yeah.
And there's that whole "who watches the watchers" saying.
Right.
What should engineers be doing right now if they want to see the future be better? So if there's somebody out there who's watching this, who works at Google, who works at Facebook, who's like, I don't really like the direction this is going in. I don't go home in that sense of pride every day that I'm making the world better as a result of what I do. What is your pitch?
Yeah, I would say my biggest regrets is not. I did have a terrible reputation within Yahoo of being a pain in the ass, but I would say be more of a pain in the ass. Like if you're at a company that's that you feel is doing clearly bad things, like you mentioned with your battery situation, go to the boss and make sure they stop. Like actually, you'd be surprised how easy it would be for if you're actually a good contributor and you work at Facebook, you could go and talk to Mark Zuckerberg, and you could say, "Fuck you, dude. You're an asshole. I quit." If he doesn't listen to you. Right? You have that kind of power. And if you're elite, you're already making enough money that you have a cushion. You can go do something that's useful.
Yeah, like a lot of the pushback I got was, it's easy for you to say, if I can work for 5 years and pay off my house versus having to work for 15 years or 30 years to pay off my house, that's what I'm going to do. And I think one of the assumptions people make is, like, I make $200K right now, and if I lose this job, I will make 80 or 90K. But there's this assumption that that's all you're going to do. You're just going to stay and make 80 or 90K. You're never going to improve. You're never going to find anybody else. You're never going to speak to anybody else. You're never going to find an idea that winds up allowing you to start a company where you make more than your original boss. I just think that I hope that more of the people that are watching, that are in that upper echelon of programmers that you're talking about, think more of themselves, that they can do better. Like when I quit that place, not only did I quit and wind up starting a better company, but I took their two best employees, and one of them runs my store right now. It's, every one of us makes more money than not only the other employees of that business, but at this point, even the owner. And right. We did it in a way where we feel good at the end of the day. He doesn't. Steve does not have to take a shower when he's done with a phone call with a customer because of the way that they were treated by the business.
Right.
So yeah, we want people to quit. Let's see. You have time to answer some chat questions?
Yeah.
Let's see if there's anything in here that's worthwhile. All right. Let's see. Do we have good questions? Carrie and Ann, if you could point out what the good questions are and repaste them from high up, because there's a lot of junk in here.
We need to do super chats. Only the people who pay lots of money deserve to have their questions answered. I'm just kidding.
I get accused of that even when I used to read every one. Let's see.
There is something to be said for, people need to put their money where their mouth is, too. But,
Aaron brings up a valid point. It's the financial equivalent of a non-compete. Yeah, I guess paying somebody a lot of money when you know that they're talented so that they don't work on their dream. There's this saying that one of the worst things you can do to a person is give them just enough to lead a comfortable life so that they will never leave and pursue their dream.
Okay.
I don't know how much I agree with that, but there are it's a great way to get somebody to
I mean,
not.
I will say this, when I quit at Yahoo, the only I kind of had a when I started at Yahoo, I kind of made a commitment. I kind of made my demands, and they said I should never quit. Or they said I could never quit. I said, okay, I won't quit. By the time I did quit, they realized I had to quit, but they said, well, you promised you wouldn't quit, but that's okay. As long as you never work for Google. As long as you never work for Google, we'll allow you to quit. And it was just like more of like a handshake, thing. But it was like, yeah, they cared about me not competing against them. When Google was kind of, in 2004 when I quit, the writing was already on the wall for Google kicking our asses. But it was very much that, yeah, don't compete with us.
How would WhatsApp have made money if Facebook didn't buy it? Because to beat Facebook, it has to make money, and they were making money through advertising. Yeah, so what would their revenue?
I believe their plan was to just charge people money. Like they were charging, $1 a year. I think it was $1 a year for a subscription. That was a simple way. There's other ways too. Any kind of business to business thing you do. I think the point is, I think what maybe they didn't even see was that, WhatsApp was just the start, right? You've got a lot of people. If you look at what WeChat has done in China, where basically the entire internet is on WeChat in China, WhatsApp was in that position to do that in the Western world.
Do you think NVIDIA was trying to buy ARM because they see ARM as a competitor?
I mean, so with NVIDIA buying ARM, yeah, I don't know the chip space well enough to really comment on that one, to be honest. It could be the case.
That's the thing. By the time a coder is making $300,000, they have a mortgage, 2 cars, a wife, and a kid that needs to eat. Dropping to 60 or 90K is near impossible for them.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't let yourself become trapped by that kind of consumerism. Yeah, the 2 cars are going to be, the most expensive Teslas you can buy now, I guess, right? And again, like I kind of use the example of Palo Alto. Yeah, if you want to live in Palo Alto, you're going to have to be a douchebag monopolist.
I'm not going to dox you by saying what you drive, but it is not a $130,000 Tesla or a $200,000 Mercedes by any means.
Yeah.
There's this really weird inverse idea, and you notice this anytime I drive around Brooklyn. Like, there's this idea of what people that are wealthy, what their lifestyle is, but then like I see more $130,000 Mercedes being driven by people that make less than my receptionist than being driven by actual wealthy people.
Right. That is a key is if you can learn. Yeah, I mean, what's the quote? It's something like, I love doing quotes. It's like, basically, I'll paraphrase. If you really want freedom, you have to control your desires for things like that. You're not going to be, if you're going to be a slave to consumerism, it doesn't matter how much money you make. You're always going to be trying to get that bigger thing. The reason why I had enough money to, start my gaming app in, 1997. And I bought the servers myself and paid for internet myself was because I didn't spend a lot of money. Even after I had sold out to Yahoo and I had Yahoo stock that was worth a lot, I still lived in a house with 2 roommates. I lived in an apartment, like a 1-bedroom apartment. So it's pretty easy to you should be saving like half of what you make. If you're in Silicon Valley, for sure.
Yeah, one of the things that made it easier for me to make the decision to leave that bad laptop repair place and start my own company was that I didn't decide to get the fanciest smartphone. I didn't even have a driver's license because I thought I can't afford a car yet, and if I did,
here's my cracked. This is the phone I use.
This bothers the fuck out of me.
I use this Nokia cost I think $150 on.
A Texas
Amazon,
Instruments graphing calculator has a stronger processor.
Yeah,
than
and it's
phone.
cracked screen. It's like you don't need to buy a new iPhone.
You haven't gotten that fixed since I met you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You still have a crack on the screen. It's like
there's no need to fix a cracked screen.
Oh no, one of my favorites was we're at the. Can I tell the airport story?
Okay, I don't know what the airport story is.
Okay, it makes it better. So we're at the airport, and they want $8 for a bottle of water, and I'm like, screw this. And you also said screw this. So you ask for tap water, and they say. And they won't give you tap water, so you're just like, no, I'm not paying $8 for water. I'd rather just drink on the plane.
Yeah, I know. I went to the. Well, that was at the other thing. I went to the bathroom with a cup. But that was not at the airport. Yeah, you can go to the bathroom with a cup.
Yeah, like
use the faucet water. It's fine.
I did the same thing. I refill this every day. No, but like if I had like continued to up my lifestyle every single time that I started making a little bit more, then once something happens, I was like, well, I'm not going to do that for money, or I'm not going to put up with this. I would have just bit my tongue and dealt with it. And I mean, if somebody has two 2006 Nissan Sentras versus two S580s, they're going to probably make a different decision when their employer decides that they're going to start doing something that's less moral.
Right.
Let's see.
Just so you guys know, we have 15 minutes left on the cards for the side cameras.
Let's see. Okay, we'll tell everybody to make their questions go away. Let's see. Sometimes you don't get a chance of operation. What's up with the thing inside of Mark Zuckerberg's sweatshirt? I don't know what that means. Eron reminds me of Big Head from Silicon Valley. He was the guy sitting on the roof who lived with the roof face. I never watched that show, so I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment.
Yeah, I only watched it I watched like most of the first season, then I stopped. It seemed pretty good. I feel like I should watch it. Maybe it hit too close to home.
What decisions did Yahoo make that caused them to fall behind, in your opinion?
Not emphasizing engineering. They saw themselves as a media company, not as a technology company. So Google would be out there recruiting, PhDs and like, it was considered. I was considered slumming it when I dropped out of grad school to go work for an internet company in 1998 or 1997, 1998. Google made it like whatever. We're gonna like make it cool for PhDs to come work for us.
WeChat is what AOL tried to do. You described what the future of WhatsApp sounds like. It would have turned WhatsApp into a closed internet.
Yes, but at least they're competing until they do that, and hopefully the next company will keep competing with them too. So, yeah, the way that capitalism. I'm a big fan of free market capitalism. The way it's supposed to work is you have companies fiercely competing with each other all the time, and you have lots of churn. We saw this with AOL getting its ass kicked by Google, AOL getting its ass kicked by Yahoo getting its ass kicked by Google. That's great. MySpace got its ass kicked by Facebook. GeoCities got its ass kicked by MySpace. That's the way it's supposed to work. It stopped happening. So,
do you agree with the idea of a tech company's founder trying to keep a monopoly on their company after they go public?
I actually do. Yeah, I think that's the best world. Like if you have an individual in charge of a company, I think that is better than just letting kind of the mob. The only thing that can really make a company unique is the characteristics of a strong founder. It's what made Apple unique. As much as I don't like Mike Zuckerberg, it is what makes Facebook unique. Apple is just kind of like this, gross zombie company now without kind of any kind of visionary leader.
What will you see as a win in the near future?
A win?
Yeah.
If we can get a good Android open source project, like a phone out there that has 10 million people buy it, that's a huge win. That's an example of what I see as a win.
So getting people to choose software and hardware that doesn't abuse them over the stuff that does.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see.
Someone was asking, we can talk about Signal if you want to ask the question.
Oh yeah. So what do you think about Signal?
Yeah, I mean, Signal is a great example of the right thing. It's organized as a nonprofit, which might be the way things needed to happen there. That what happened with Signal is Brian Acton, realized a few years later after that, Facebook was not a good place to work. So he did exactly what he did exactly what I'm saying. He quit, and he's doing the right thing now.
Right, so
which is Signal.
So for those who didn't follow this, so he was one of the founders of WhatsApp.
Yes.
And when it got sold to Facebook, he went to work at Facebook.
Yeah, he kind of brought. I mean, I think one of the important things here, and what a lot of people believe the lies. They'll believe whatever lie they're telling you to keep you at the big company. So in this case, it's, in Brian Acton's case, it was probably, well, we're going to, respect your users, and you can kind of create the great product you always wanted to with WhatsApp, and you're going to have all these resources, and it's going to be so much better for everyone. And Brian Acton, after 3 years, and he actually left a lot of money with, I believe he left a lot of money with kind of on the table. So he had more golden handcuffs. I mean, he left after 3 years. So typically golden handcuffs are for 4 years. So I think you can do the math. He left a lot of money there, which is, I admire him for.
At some point, I think it's about a percentage of your net worth versus your ability to sleep at night. I think he made the right decision for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hardly
still a lot of
who else has made that decision? I mean, not too many. So.
Most people say what decision they would make, but
Right.
then when they're actually and they're sitting in the hot seat, they would do the exact opposite.
Right.
Like, it's easy to say it until you're actually faced with that.
Right.
You know?
Another thing they'll get you with is like, your community of people, they want to make you feel like you're betraying your friends or whatever who are at the company, right? So you gotta just realize, like, you need to quit, and then you need to convince your friends to quit. Like, once you quit, you'll realize that kind of all the bullshit that they've been feeding you at the company, it kind of, once you're away from that kind of reality distortion field, it's a lot easier to kind of understand how crazy the company is. And then you can talk to other people and get them to quit.
Last question of the evening. What is the definitive answer on what FUTO stands for?
It's 4 letters that sound great together.
Well, that's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. Thank you very much for taking the time, and do consider quitting your job.
Thanks.
Okay.